Hello and welcome. We've got an expert discussion for you today, brought to you by the team at My Tax Accountant, and we're talking all about the future of motoring tax here in the UK. And let me tell you, that future is coming up way faster than you might think.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number. A huge number, actually. £30 billion. And look, this isn't some far-off prediction. This is the financial reality we're staring at right now, as we speak, in late 2025.
So why that number? Well, that's the massive hole that's about to be blown in the government's budget as we all switch over to electric cars. The big question, the £30 billion question really is, who's going to fill that gap? A hole this big can't just be ignored, so let's dive into it.
Right, so here's how we're going to break it all down for you. First, we'll get to grips with the sheer scale of this £30 billion problem and why the system we have now is basically broken. Then, we'll look at a potential solution, road pricing, and we'll tackle some of the biggest questions you might have about it. Finally, we'll talk about what all this actually means for you and your money.
All right, first things first. Let's get one thing straight. Change isn't just likely, it's inevitable. This isn't about politics, it's just simple math.
So as we all rightly move towards electric vehicles, the two main ways the government taxes driving, that's fuel duty on petrol and diesel and vehicle excise duty, road tax, well, they're basically disappearing. We're already seeing a big drop-off in the 2025-26 tax year, and with the ban on new petrol and diesel cars coming in 2030, that revenue stream is going to dry up fast. Now, the really eye-opening number on this slide is for 2040. To fill that £30 billion gap with income tax, they'd have to add 6 pence to the basic rate. That's a huge hike for everyone. And by 2050, it's pretty much all gone.
But hold on, this isn't just about spreadsheets in Whitehall. This is where it gets personal for every single one of us on the road, whether you've got a petrol car or an EV. It's all about your time. Get this, £894. That's what the average UK driver loses every single year just by being stuck in traffic. Think about that for a second. Every hour in a jam is an hour you're not working, not with your family. And as driving an EV becomes basically free at the point of use, the roads are just going to get busier. It's simple economics. Forecasts say traffic could jump by over 50% by 2050, meaning even more gridlock for all of us.
Okay, so the system is running out of money. But that's only half the story. The other massive problem? It's just fundamentally unfair. Let's really dig into why, because this is where it all starts to unravel. Now, at first glance, this chart looks pretty simple, right? Richer people drive more, so they pay more in fuel duty over the year. Makes sense. But hang on, this chart is actually a bit of an illusion. It doesn't tell you what's really going on. Now, watch what happens on this next slide when we look at the real cost.
There it is. That's the problem in a nutshell. Poorer households are spending nearly 3 times more of their income on fuel duty than the wealthiest. It's a textbook regressive tax. Let's make that real. Imagine you're a freelancer, a small business owner in London maybe, with an older van that's essential for your work. That 4.6% isn't just a number, it's a direct hit on your ability to make a living.
And stay with me, because this might surprise you. This whole situation is actually getting worse because of the switch to EVs. See, as wealthier drivers, the ones who can afford that big upfront cost of an EV, make the change, they completely stop paying fuel duty. That leaves the rest of us, often people with lower incomes who can't afford to switch yet, carrying a bigger and bigger slice of the bill.
Okay, so we've established the old system is broken. It's unfair, and it's running out of cash. So, what do we do? Well, this brings us to an idea that's not science fiction anymore. It's called road pricing.
Honestly, the basic idea is super simple. Instead of taxing the fuel you put in your car, you're charged for the miles you actually drive. It's just like your electric bill. You pay for what you use. Simple as that. The more you use the roads, the more you contribute. Drive less, and you contribute less.
And this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? We're moving from a dumb tax to a smart charge. Fuel duty has no idea if you're causing a traffic jam or driving on an empty road at 3 in the morning. Road pricing, though, it's a potential game changer. It could be designed to tackle congestion, be fair to everyone, and most importantly, it gives us a funding source for our roads that'll actually last no matter what kind of car we're driving.
You know, what's really interesting is that the public seems to be getting on board with this. A few years ago, this was a political hot potato. No one would touch it. But now, look at these numbers. For the first time, more people actually support the idea of road pricing than oppose it. I think people get that the current system is running on fumes.
Right. A whole new system means a whole lot of questions. And that's fair enough. So let's tackle the biggest worries people have and separate the myths from what's actually likely to happen.
Okay, let's get the big one out of the way first. Privacy. The whole Big Brother is watching you thing, it's a huge concern and totally understandable, but it's mostly based on a big misconception about how a system like this would probably work.
So, the most likely plan doesn't involve some scary black box at all. It could be as simple as this. When you take your car for its annual MOT, they just log the mileage. That's it. The system calculates how many miles you've driven since your last test, and you get a bill once a year. No GPS, no tracking your every move, just a simple record of the total distance you've traveled.
And here's a did you know for you. Another big myth is that this is going to hammer people in rural areas who have to drive further. But actually, a lot of studies show the opposite could be true. Because the charge would be based on miles, not how thirsty your car is, many rural drivers would stop being penalized for needing an older or bigger vehicle, which, let's be honest, is often a necessity out in the country.
Okay, so if we're gonna do this, we have to do it right. Let's look at how a new system could be designed to be genuinely fair for everyone, because honestly, the details are everything.
2,500. Remember that number. This could be the secret ingredient to making the whole system fair, a free mileage allowance. The idea is that every single vehicle would get a certain number of miles for free each year, let's say 2,500, before you start paying anything. That would protect people who don't drive very often, or only make essential local journeys.
And this table shows you exactly how that works in the real world. You give everyone 2,500 free miles, and suddenly the poorest drivers are actually about 20 quid a year better off. It's a really clever way to shift the burden slightly so those who use the roads the most pay the most.
So, to get everyone to trust this new system, experts say you need these 4 things, non-negotiable. First, take the politics out of it with an independent group setting the prices. Second, make privacy the top priority with the simple MOT option as the default for everyone. Third, keep it national and simple and only let big cities add their own charges for congestion. And fourth, and this one's crucial, get rid of fuel duty as you bring this in, so nobody gets taxed twice for the same journey. Okay, so what does all of this mean for you? At the end of the day, the way we pay for driving is about to go through its biggest shakeup in 100 years, and you need to be ready.
All right, before we finish up, just a quick and important note. The information we've talked about today is for general guidance only. It is not official financial advice, and, tax laws can and do change.
Look, navigating all this is going to be tricky. Whether you're a freelancer trying to manage costs, a family buying a new car, or a business owner with a fleet of vans, you're going to want to understand how this impacts your bottom line. For that kind of personalized advice, you really should talk to the experts at My Tax Accountant. You can give them a call on 028-570-8531. Again, that's 0208-570-8531, or you can email them at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. Thanks for watching.